everyone, I hope you're doing well. I've got a few art supplies out here and predominantly we're going to be painting with ink acrylics in kind of like a watercolor way. If you have been watching the last few videos, you know that I have been enjoying these kind of tight drawings which involve a lot of precision and kind of honing in and just relaxing. It's really therapeutic. And I've been doing many pages. But today I want to do something a little bit more loose and something that's still kind of with watercolor effect, because you can paint with acrylic inks like you do with watercolor, just it will become permanent once it dries, because acrylic is obviously like plastic, so it's not water soluble afterwards, whereas with watercolor you can still move it after it has dried. So I have pre-cut a few sheets of paper, and just in case we mess something up and want to start again, so I'll have those on the side. This is slightly off-white. It's like an interesting, like a beige pinky type of color. I haven't seen it on Jackson's. I'll check again when I'm editing this video, but yeah, they had it before and I would buy huge sheets and just sort of cut it to size, but haven't seen it. It's got a lovely texture, so it's called pressed and it's 300 GSM. So pick your paper, or you can as well work in Sketchbook as well. Pick a color palette that you're feeling today, whatever moods you are in. I have gone for kind of floral, pinky, a little bit of beige, a bit of burnt sienna, can't do without burnt sienna, a couple of yellow options and a green. And what I want to do is just use a brush to kind of freely illustrate a few petals, maybe even just shapes, and then at the end I'm going to line a few kind of leaves and see where it takes us. I haven't planned anything out too precisely, so let's just have fun. I've got also like an old fruit or vegetable tray here that you generally buy in the grocery store, and here is also like an olive container which I like using for mixing my colors. All right, so let's kind of think of a composition. So maybe we can create a couple of flowers. How about we create 3 flowers? I'm going to start with the largest one here, smaller here, and maybe here. We'll see. So a bit of water, and I'm gonna mix up my own color. So I've got here processed magenta. Give it a good mix. All of these usually settle, and then especially if there's white pigment, you'll see it quite obviously settling at the bottom. A few drops. Maybe I'm gonna add some of this portrait pink. All of my acrylic inks are Daler-Rowney, and they are either FW, which is artist grade, or their System 3, which is their student grade. And also I've got a couple here, which, oh no, I think just one, which is the Amsterdam brand. And this particular one is a lovely yellow. Anyway, so a couple of drops of the beige here, or peach, next to the pink. And I would go in, kind of mix up a color that I like the look of, and then we're going to just kind of create an outline. And also remember, you need to paint and move your brush fairly quickly because they do dry quickly. I'm going to leave a little highlighter in the middle, also go into the pink and just drop some of the pink. When you are using acrylic inks that have white in them, they won't flow as nicely. So I'll show you on another example. Let's use this one, which is the fluorescent pink. It's like a neon pink, and I've got the pink here. So I'm going to wash out my brush to make sure I don't have any white in there. And we're going to mix a lovely color over here. And I'm just going to touch it next door to that color, to this flower rather. I'm just gonna leave a little white mark, and generally they kind of love to move into each other, and then whatever is left of the processed magenta, I'm just gonna add it here. This time I have a lot of water, so it's really transparent. It really is like painting with watercolor. So what you could do here is just dab it on, and then you're gonna see that a lot stronger. You can actually just take it from the pipette and drop it straight in like so and see what happens. I'm also going to do that with burnt sienna just to bring a little bit more texture, a little bit more fun, because at the moment, as you can see, it's all kind of one-dimensional. There is no big value difference. Okay, then you can help it by sort of moving it around and see what happens. Let the pink go into that color. Just play with them, create some marbling effects, and then when you're satisfied, just leave it. Or you might also want to help it, for example, here. If you want to distribute a little bit of this color, just add some water just to blend it in a bit. And then here as well, if you see the color is not really moving or not showcasing itself really well, then a bit of water, maybe it's just too thickly here mixed up, and so just do a bit of this. We have created a lovely kind of watercolor flowy effect. So at this point we should wait for everything to dry, and then I'm going to I just realized something, because it's acrylic paint, what would be the best thing to use? Something like Uni Posca to create some of the marks in the middle, but we'll get there later. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to draw some foliage. So let's just say I'm going to start here and just add some foliage. So this is not a very fine liner here. It's fairly thick, it's a 0.5. I prefer thinner. But because we're working with acrylic ink, I thought we might want a little bit of structure and something a little bit more out there. So I'm also going to add some illustration of like flowers. Just go for it, whatever you feel like. This is the fuchsia flower, and I might add another one, just a smaller one, into here, like so. Think about the composition. Kind of use your flowers, use your elements to fill in the space so that things look a little bit more balanced. Now what I can do is I want to add a thinner line, and I'm going to go for what's this one, 0.1. Yeah, I'm going to go for 0.1, and I'm going to add these kind of bits here, because I seem to have a straight line kind of in this corner, and I don't like that. So I'm going to break down that straight corner just by adding a few finer detail elements. And I'm gonna leave it at that. So hopefully you can see now the colors look beautiful. And we have that sort of black and white look. So swapping to the 0.1, I'm gonna put the 0.5 away. I'm going to now add finer detail. Again, it's creating a more kind of harmonious shape, and we need something else somewhere around here. So maybe another kind of foliage situation, but just not as big. and one more over here, just kind of going more this way. That is that. Now what you can do is you can add some color to these details if you wanted to. If I'm going to mix up a little bit of a green, so this is olive green. Again, keep in mind that acrylics are pretty opaque. If you are going to go over your line work, you're likely going to lose all of that. So to try and maintain it, I'm just going to, let's see, this one is brilliant yellow. I'm going to try and create like a translucent mix. So let's go here. That's a good color. Really nice. So quite a bit of water into this. And what we do is just kind of really free brush stroke. And over those maybe thicker lines that we created that we want to kind of push a little bit more in the background, I'm going to add this ink. I kind of like the misshapen shapes here, so I'm just going to work on that, emphasize it a little bit more. And maybe just one more here somewhere in the bottom, just to bring it all together really. Like that. Okay, so now we have some black and white leaves and we have some of the color. Also, I want to do something with these flowers because frankly they are now really standing out. So I'm gonna create a little mix here for these bits that are holding the petals together, and that probably will be a bit darker, like so. You can see how opaque it is. With acrylics, I don't work as precise as with watercolor. With watercolor, I like it to be all kind of within the lines. And I think with acrylic paints, it's just more fun to just do a bit outside. Which I would like really pink. I've got still some here, but I'm going to squeeze out a bit more. So this fluorescent pink is a very kind of out there color, and I might add some orange into it. This is orange flame or flame orange. Actually thinking about it, just orange on its own would have been nice as well because it's going to contrast. Yeah, actually I'm going to add a little bit of that pink into the orange rather than the other way around. So let's mix them together. Yes, that's gorgeous now. So the flame orange has become even flamier, if that's even possible. And now, just with one movement, I'm going to pull the brush through, wiggle it and lift it. Really easy. I mean, this color is glowing, let me tell you. It's gorgeous. So if I want a little bit of kind of breakdown here, I'm just gonna add a little bit of a shape like so. Okay, so we lost one of the stamen or the pollen parts, which I can draw in afterwards. So there we go. You could go ahead and actually add color to the leaves as well, but I really like that black and white, and in fact I think I'm gonna go ahead and add a few more of these black and white leaves throughout. So all that's left is to wait for it to dry. All of this has to be dry so we can finish with the detail and add a few more leaves. We're slowly getting there. There's just a few areas that are still drying. So while that's happening, let's go ahead and add our detail back in. So we lost one of these pollen bits and I'm just going to draw it in just like that. And actually we lost two, I just realized, because there were three in there. So I'm going to go and add another one up here. Okay, as for the leaves, I think I want a few more. the way I got inspired to do this piece today compared to the tighter drawings, which, trust me, I am not done with by any means. This is like my absolute pleasure, but I just thought you might want something different, just for those days when we feel we want to create something a bit more loose and freeing rather than really precise. And also I was walking past my tray of acrylic inks and I thought, wouldn't it be nice to try and kind of take from those drawings that I have been doing for the last couple of weeks and kind of see what I could create with acrylic inks instead. And this is all part of daily art making. It's so important to just make yourself create art, even if it's nothing, even if you might just walk past some art supplies that you haven't used for a while and thought, I kind of miss using them. Let me try to do that, or let me try to do this, or let me see if I can create slightly different version of what I have been enjoying lately. So just try and use art supplies and try and create art as much as you can and make it your daily practice. The more you do that, the more experience you get and better you become at your art. You don't get better by just being afraid to use certain art supplies, or being intimidated by them, or being intimidated by a new sketchbook, by the white paper that you just think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna ruin the first page, what shall I do, I'm not sure, I'll wait for the day when the inspiration hits. Well, it might not. So, and all these days you could have been creating and painting. So basically just start painting and be more experimental. So I'm just now adding these black marks, kind of in the middle of the white area here and slightly around it as well. What do you think about these? I think they're quite pretty. I think what might be also a good idea is to actually layer a fine marker, like acrylic fine marker, on top of the acrylic. So instead of layering the acrylic on top of the drawing, I think just loosely creating some leaves or petals and then over it kind of going slightly to the side and adding a few of those details to suggest that it's a flower or what kind of flower it could be, because without that might be a bit too loose. Like you can get away with certain shapes, but I think artists like fuchsias, they need a bit more kind of emphasis. But again, everything can be done in so many different ways. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had fun in this colorful, beautiful little floral illustration, and I will see you next time.